Buddy boo.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, right. Bronxville is like the black part of town, Chicago. So CJ, if you look over this way,
I want to hear you, but the radio's too loud.
why you turn it up?
I can't hear you.
Bronxville's over to your right side as we're approaching into downtown Chicago.
Bronxville.
Now we're going towards what used to be known as the old Black Belt, which is now called Bronxville.
It was also known as Black Metropolis, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, Drake and Kate, in their book Black Metropolis, kind of gave it a new kind of thing.
Yeah.
But for days of my years, it was the south side of the Black Belt. And all along that strip on the other side was jazz music, 51st Street.
Tim Black is a Chicago historian and author. Civil rights activist, he took us on a tour of his neighborhood that he grew up in Bronxville district of Chicago, and talked with us about music life in the community.
Well, not so much Drake. This was Grand Boulevard with my family. Billie Holiday and Lester Young used to stay in that, what used to be a hotel over there, the Grand Hotel.
Really?
Yeah. Even the musicians, the jazz musicians, the greatest, they could play downtown, but they couldn't stay downtown. So they wind up, that's where we got to know them. They wind up at 43rd, 47th, 63rd. You might see Duke Ellington walk into a place like this. He was very friendly. Any one of those famous old timers. This didn't break until 1948.
Jimmy is a 1 million kind of guy. He's 75 years old and he's still looking fine. He has spent his whole life on the south side of Chicago.
Where I grew up, music was all around. Like my experience goes back before the Second World War, which when the Second World War broke out, I was 11 years old. Music was really powerful back then because there had a lot of big bands, And then after the Second World War, all of the soldiers that came back, a lot of them were musicians. They went to school on the GI Bill. Went back to school, got their degrees, and had a lot of big bands. So you had the opportunity to be exposed to a lot of great music. In Chicago, we had the Regal Theater, like in Washington, D.C., at Howard Theater, New York, the Apollo Theater, where you saw all the big acts. Anybody you could, which is before you guys' time, but you had people like Pearl Bailey and Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald, and Dinah Washington, and even Nancy Wilson, some of the later entertainers. But it was a great time for the music. But as you know, things have changed. But it was really great growing up around Chicago on the south side. And where I grew up is not too far from here. But it has really changed.
The schools became anything. At least there was a law outlawing public schools from being segregated. That was Brown versus Board of Education, 1954. So if the schools weren't good, people like myself would either put their children into private schools or find a good excuse to move to a neighborhood where the schools were. And so the music left, jazz music, left the old neighborhood. And
Jimmy disagrees because he thinks that jazz is
A
still
long time
alive.
ago, the jazz was dead. How can jazz be dead when the people live? They created it. So jazz is just another word trying to describe the music. It's just music. So if you go back, you had Scott Joplin, ragtime era. Then they got the swing era, the bebop. It's all the same thing. But I think when you say what is jazz, it's a people. That's the way I look at it. Music is created out of a people's way of life. But other than that, they've been trying to get some other names for it. But I'm not trying to name it. I just think it's music.
With people like Jimmy, jazz will always live on.
that was really that really got me.
These alternative instruments, they're emotional instruments. They're instruments that are connected to me through my cultural heritage and my cultural background. They're also instruments that excite me to explore new areas, uncharted courses in this music or this whole audio thing that we work with, and which I felt was right in line with what you all are doing.
Improvisation is spontaneous, spontaneity. You know, it's like you play a melody. That's why in jazz, a guy's solo in most cases is never the same because other ideas come into your mind. So like when you play a solo, it's never exactly the same note, but it's spontaneous. It's like what you feel now. It's like when W.C. Handy wrote the St. Louis Blues. I think he was in a hotel room when that song came to him. But it was about his life, like improvisation, as you answered. That's improvisation usually is born out of experience. It's not something that you just write down in solo. It's something that you play at the moment. You know how you feel now.
Jimmy said that in his childhood in Chicago impacts on how we play this music, just like how on this trip impacts our lives today. It is all improv. Just go with the flow and taking the past and bringing it up again.
The last question that each of you got to answer is, what is jazz?
Jazz.
Yes, sir.
Yo, jazz is soothing. It relaxes your mind. It takes you
Places you've never been.
it takes you to like another world, like, you know, comfort. You know, just, you know, you can sit down and just listen. That's what jazz is. Jazz is to, like, you know, bring people together. Jazz is amazing. Jazz has a history. Jazz is music. Jazz is creative. Jazz is jazzy.
It's not just music, it's history. Everything.
Jazz is rhythm.
Yeah, it's not rock. Everything together. It's unbelievable.
Everything. What can't you say to that? What can't you not
Jazz
say?
is love.
Jazz is basically everything that is good put together.
Jazz is love.
Jazz is like, it's like, jazz is just, you can't really you can explain it, but there's too many ways to explain it. I guess you could say. I guess like there's just so many ways.
Like every way is wrong.
Yeah, seriously. Like you mess up, that's all good. Because if it goes with the song, it's still playing. And if it doesn't go with the song, oh well, you're still playing. As long as you don't stop, exactly.
That means obviously the person's gonna notice that you messed up and you just stop. You know?
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, like that guy with the drums, his
Yeah, he just kept going.
Yeah, he dropped the drumstick, but he kept on going.
Yeah.
He's like this, trying to get.
Ba-ba-doo-doo, way, oh, way, da. Ba-ba-doo-doo, way, oh, way, da. Ba-ba-doo-doo, way, oh, way, da. It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. Ba-ba-doo-doo, way, oh, way, da. Oh, it don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. Ba-ba-doo-doo, way, oh, way, da. Makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Come on, give that rhythm everything, baby, that you got. 'Cause it don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. Sabba-doo-bo, way, oh, way, big boy. Oh, it don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. You got it right. It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. Oh, mama, it makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Come on, give that rhythm everything, baby, but that's what you got. It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing.